Well, let's get more on this with Kate Hardcastle, who's consumer expert at Insight with Passion. Great to see you, Kate. So is this going to be the big, busy day that retailers are hoping for, or is that cost of living crisis just going to dent potential sales?
Hi to you both. I would say there's a couple of things going on. Mainly, shoppers globally are really challenged by those rising costs on essential items, meaning quite simply that then the disposable income left for big spend periods as we're entering now, classed as peak in most of the retail environments, are going to be challenged. It might be that we do see the suggested up to 20% uplift on sales from Black Friday last year, but I think in the main those will be sales brought forward that would have happened later on or perhaps earlier on. We're seeing two main trends coming through which really indicate just how much pressure the shoppers are under and how they're looking very differently at this Black Friday. Firstly is, as your colleague mentioned, this rise of call it vintage, recommerce, as I used to call it, second-hand goods, but definitely much more focus in terms of organisations presenting reconditioned or recommerce goods. And just in case you think that might not be really a big part of the crowd, 2/5 of the UK public and 3/5 of the US public have cited that in the last 12 months they have bought vintage, second-hand or re-commerce goods, and that's subject to research from Marsis. I think, therefore, we understand people looking for different types of bargains. And in addition to that, what's really interesting is how we're seeing some of these cost-saving hero products really come to the forefront of what people are looking for, particularly Europe-wide, where we are suffering significant fuel bills. So those would be items like air fryers, which can save turning on the oven, or indeed air heated racks, saving on tumble dryers, which can be quite fuel-hungry appliances.
So smart shopping, more sustainable shopping, but from that consumer's point of view, are these deals the real deal? Because some consumer groups say, you know what, those price cuts are better at different times of year.
Research has proven that most products can be bought at other times of year with more of a deal. And I don't think the consumer is finding that new news, to be honest. The reason Black Friday exists is because it is at a time we spend more. The huge department store, John Lewis Partners, make 2/3 of their profit in the 8 weeks up to Christmas. This is a big peak period for retail. So it's in retail's interest to present more deals, more excitement for shoppers this time of the year, and shoppers to hunt out a bargain when they are looking to enhance or take more in terms of spend. I think reality has hit. There are so many shopping comparison websites. In the main, yes, we must always be careful of fraudulent deals, fraudulent shopping, etc. But the consumer's quite savvy. They're using this period to get a better deal on something they were wanting to buy anyway.
I'm wondering about small retailers who are struggling too with the cost of living crisis, energy crisis. They're going to be under pressure, aren't they, with the bigger shops they have more wiggle room, I suppose, when it comes to margin. Might we see a change in the shape of high streets and shopping precincts all across Europe?
I think we're in the biggest evolution period of retail, which makes my job very exciting, but we've got to go through pain to get the gain, and we're going to get quality offers in those high streets and centres across Europe and indeed globally, and less of the quantity. So we're going through a shaping period, and we know that the balance has got to be big business and small businesses. Those small businesses bring so much. They enhance communities. A lot of the money spent stays locally, hiring local people, using local produce. So it's in everyone's interest for them to not just survive, but to thrive. But you're quite right to point out how challenging it is. Speaking to small businesses I've supported throughout the high streets in the UK through our philanthropic give back, I've heard from thousands and thousands of people who just can't open the door 7 days a week anymore. The fuel or the costs of running the business, or even indeed the staffing in areas like hospitality, have been very challenging. What we've got to hope is, with the support of consumers, support of initiatives, and indeed perhaps government and local council authorities, we see some support in them being part of the picture moving forward, because I think it's so important for consumers.
Kate Hardcastle, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks very much.
Thanks for your time.